Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit, and in the green, welcome back to Banjo-Kazooie, where we are ready to go into the first level, Mumbo's Mountain. I do want to give you a little bit of an interesting design note, which really helps you find your way around the world, or at least Gruntilda's lair. Pay attention to that feature because that will tell you there's a level through there. You will also be able to tell because the music changes along the way. Let's listen to this for a little bit. Now, let's go in here. Notice how the music really smoothly flows into the appropriate version. There is a variant for each world, and for Grunty's Furnace Fun, and, well, pretty much the top of the tower. It's pretty neat. The way variable mix is used in this game actually predates stuff like Skyward Sword. It's very creative. Speaking of music, there are 3 new moves to learn in this world. Find my molehills, and I'll explain. Now you can get back to the music. Alright, that should have covered the music for now. I've wandered around and pretty much shown off the way the variable mix works in these worlds. You get your set music and it will change depending on where you are and what you want to do. It's actually pretty neat. There are some really cool styles overall. We've got a variant that plays when you are near Conga the Gorilla as well. Let's actually get to grabbing the items now. Last time I was just sort of doing the usual Mr. Exposition shtick I wound up doing, which is, and yes, I was trying to say shtick, which can be a little awkward. But yeah, we've got a fair bit to pick up. So this is the tutorial level. All the moves you learned in, that's right, this thing moves on its own. Yippee! You saved me! Gruntilda has imprisoned 5 of us, Jinjos, on each world. Free us all to get a jiggy. 1 of 10. And then we have this. Be Mumbo's token. Used for Mumbo magic. So, a fair few things in here. Speaking of very, very stereotypical accent. Our key collectibles, musical notes. A note 1 of 100 on each world. Collect us to open the note doors. You'll learn about those in due course. But yeah, you'll basically get to grips with all the moves you've been learning over in Spiral Mountain. A little bit of swimming, a little bit of jumping, a little bit of climbing, and a little bit of Jinjo collecting. I don't know how I managed that, but okay. Oh well. Yeah, there's a very strong percussion-focused style for the underwater themes. Not every level uses one, but I think every level had one composed, which is pretty neat. It just goes to show how much attention has been paid to the soundtrack. I mean, it's absolutely no surprise. It's a Rareware game. Rare's composers are some of the best, hands down. Yeah, it's indisputable, really. They have created so many amazing works. Like, you ask anybody who enjoys all those classic Rare games, especially the ones in their golden era, which was around... I mean, they'd been going really well for ages in one form or another, but that golden era from around the time or before of Donkey Kong Country through to the end of their time with Nintendo. Absolute masterpieces. The soundtrack was fantastic. And there is our first Jiggy. You must search for 10 of us on each world. We'll help you progress through the witch's lair. We don't actually have McJiggies in this game, unfortunately, so you're not allowed to take any fast food anywhere. When you're ready to leave this world, return to the start area and stand on the exit pad. Maybe I could have chosen some better phrasing. I don't know. Usually when people think of leaving this world, they think of dying or something like that. Don't die, Banjo. I mean, who else is going to wind up paying me? And yeah, I've got to use my new Joy-Cons. I'm using the old ones, and the left stick... Well, the right stick, sorry, keeps fighting me. So, these are the eggs. Kazooie can learn to use them as ammunition. They're very self-aware. And here's Bottle's Molehill, which... the model is always shaded like that. So no matter where you are, no matter where the light source is coming from, it's always going to have this particular shading. Anyway, let's talk to him. The Talon Trot will let Kazooie tackle steep slopes with ease. It's also going to be your primary means of getting around in the game because it's a fair bit faster. So, you'd better get used to hearing Kazooie all the time because that clucking is probably going to get annoying really, really fast. Bad luck for you, though. I'm also trying not to take things quite as seriously. Like I said, I'm usually sort of quote-unquote Mr. Exposition, just blathering on and giving all the information without actually trying to be amusing or entertaining or anything like that. At least I don't think I'm very entertaining. It's an interesting point. I really have to avoid using the word interesting note because, well, this whole game has 900 interesting notes. And speaking of notes, you've collected enough to break the first note door spell. For some reason, Gruntilda has very powerful musical spells. I don't know, maybe she could wind up using magic to recreate a Jimi Hendrix album or something like that. That'd be a really good jam. Alrighty, so almost all of the Jinjos. We're going to need all three moves to essentially face off against the boss. There's a gorilla in a singlet who's sort of our boss encounter. But we don't need to worry about that yet. I will share a bit of trivia because there's a fair bit of it. If we go in here, we'll get a bit of a preview of our transformation in a sense. There is a termite. Hey, ugly! No bears allowed in Ticker's Tower! And we smash it into pieces. Let's get our Talon Trot out, jump up here, get a Mumbo token up here. Oop. We will fall off. We cannot traverse every steep slope with the Talon Trot, but we can transform. We'll get to that, though. Head up here. I'll save this one for later, but I will at least grab the Mumbo token and the Jiggy. So this was at least a little bit better than Mario 64 in some respects, in that you stayed in the world when you got your main shiny collectible. The problem was you sort of... Well, you have to watch the little dance each time. You can't change that. I call this the Beak Buster. Jump into the air, then press Z to send Kazooie slamming hard down to the floor, probably giving herself massive cranial trauma and damaging her beak in the process. I don't like the sound of that, Banjo. Well, get used to it, Nest Girl. You'll be using it a lot, at least until the next game when the Bill Drill supersedes it. So, have fun inflicting cranial trauma on a bird, Banjo. I'm not sure what on earth the bottle's voice is trying to be, but it's just fun. Alright, that's a pretty good note number. Make our way along this, and yeah, this is pretty easy, but it's still very distinct. You're not going to get lost that easily. Mostly because the way the levels are designed, they're all very clearly set with key integral landmarks easily visible. They're a lot smaller in scale than Banjo-Tooie, which is a good game, but it's vast. It is incredibly vast. And you're probably going to get lost. It's more like a Metroid game than anything else, in all fairness. Alright. Along the way we go. For some reason, Honeycomb also seems to be self-aware. And interesting. The beehive is at least aware of what its role is. And that bull over there, its name is Big Butt. Yeah, the character parade will show you. I didn't get everything on this hill. Okay, that seems about right. Yeah, that seems about right. So, now we can make our way over to Conga's patch. Can't do anything about those with the Beak Buster, interestingly. We have to bait Conga into throwing oranges onto them. Conga will somewhat lead his shots, but just moving... Look, it wasn't that hard to find your gold. You might think we're clever. Banjo's not exactly the smartest person going around. So that's more of an informed problem than anything else. Yep, he's getting a little bit smarter there. And now we can go and give an orange, which is very... Again, why is everything either has eyes or it's self-aware or both? Also, Chimpy winds up just insulting us. I mean, Banjo, he calls Banjo fat. Banjo's not really that fat. Maybe a little top-heavy, but that's more muscle than anything else. So we can pick up some of our eggs, and we can talk to Bottles and learn the last move. Alright, so let's head over here and pick up the last Mumbo token we need. There's probably a bit of explaining to do in all fairness. And then we can encounter our witch switch. Yeah, this switch. This is the witch switch. This switch. Not that switch. This is the witch switch. Ow! This switch. This is the witch switch. Alright, one man who's on first routine not quite working. Like I said, I'm not very good at being spontaneously funny. And even then, most of what I think is funny is probably not that. I tend to rely on puns and wordplay quite a bit. I mean, a while ago, I even wound up entering a wordplay contest. I submitted 10 entries in the hope that I would win. Unfortunately, no pun intended. That was absolutely terrible, but I'm still going to teach you how to shoot eggs anyway. The ancient ways of the egg, which I made up to make them sound cool. Listening, Beetle Breath. Hold Z, then press the top C button to shoot an egg out of your mouth. It's about time you put your gob to good use rather than spitting insults. And if you want, press the bottom C button instead to actually function like a bird and shoot them out from behind. Yeesh. Sounds painful. Wish I'd never asked. Why exactly is it painful? Birds wind up laying eggs naturally. It's essentially a form of ovulation. They're not exactly fertilized, so you don't have to worry about people complaining about, oh, she's shooting unborn children. No, she's not. They actually have to wind up being fertilized by another bird. Hopefully it's not Banjo, because that's going to be really weird, and I don't want to know what you two get up to. Doesn't Kazooie sleep in a backpack or something? Anyway, you've learned all the moves, and I've probably creeped you out. I'm going back into my molehill now. Go shoot eggs at a gorilla. That is literally what we have to do. Conga cannot... He thinks he's safe, and he's going to throw oranges at us. We have to hit him in slow sequence. And 3 hits and Conga goes down. Those pecs and those arm muscles are just for show. Speaking of being just for show, Conker would actually wind up running the big top in Banjo-Tooie in Witchy World, which again, another great example of awesome music. So, off we go. We can make our way up to talk to Mumbo Jumbo. We'll have a few jiggies to grab along the way. So, is there... Yep, we can clean up a few along the way by smashing these hearts. Now, note that I've taken out a few enemies. Enemies don't respawn, but honeycombs don't disappear. And whatever you get out of these hearts is also... it's random in a sense. I mean, it's always in a set order, but even if I smashed a different one, the notes would still be there. So it's... well, it's not really random, it's set. One group of items is always programmed to trigger first, and then it goes in the specific order. Up here. So, there we are. That enemy is easily defeated. The honeycomb stays until you want to pick it up. So, another Jinjo. What exactly are you wearing? It's like... You've got a white front, but it kind of looks like a tunic, or it really looks like they're just wearing a tunic. Okay, I'll help you. You're just sort of standing there. So, helping them out is going to be important, even if they do. Nobody exactly knows precisely what the Jinjos are. They're just Jinjos. It's just their own little species. They're somewhat bird-like, but they're very much magical creature bird thingies. And there's a random termite just running against the wall in the background. Yep. Is it going to keep running? That's really brutal. Those termites just literally fall to pieces. How? I don't know. Now, there's something really mean hidden here. I do have to bring this up. Take a bit of time to look up at the totem pole. Do you see that goldy thing glinting in the mouth of the second highest one? That is your second empty honeycomb, and it's actually really easy to miss.
So, we Juju, Mumbo's totem pole. Feed us with nice blue stones. We have older sister totem pole called Shala.
Wait, that should have gone straight in. Excuse me? That was weird. Were those not nice enough? Oh, I've got to use the new Joy-Cons at some point. So don't shoot an egg into the mouth of this last one until you get up there and pick up that. So that's 9 out of the 10 jiggies and most of the notes. Now we can go and see Mumbo Jumbo, who is... probably hasn't aged well in a sense. Mumbo is very much a stereotypical witch doctor. You can see sort of there's the loincloth, there's the very basic tribal aesthetic along the way. The way Mumbo speaks is even very stereotypical. This was kind of a problem. Some of the things Rare did obviously weren't going to age too well, and it gets even worse with Humbawamba in the next game because she is very much stereotypical Native American. Complete with sounding like Tonto in a sense. Alrighty, so Mumbo is always sleeping, but we can go and talk to him. I'm going to try and make his dialogue a little bit more palatable rather than just...
I am Mumbo, the best shaman in all game, and the only one. I can help Banjo and the filthy feathered one. Ugh.
Watch it, hot boy!
My magic tokens have been hidden by the witch. Find my tokens, and Mumbo help you. Ah, Banjo has plenty tokens. Keep in mind, I might talk like this occasionally because it's really fun to mess with the tourists by doing that. Did you know I actually have a doctorate in clinical psychology from Monash University? I've been all around the world to study. You might as well see my magic firsthand. Science and magic, it's an incredible combination. It's how my favorite racer in F-Zero appears. The skull! Haha! Or we can sit around and watch you get pecked in the back of the head by a bird. Wait and see what happens. Oh, and by the way, I'm actually voiced by Grant Kirkhope, did you know? That explains why I can summon musical instruments at will. I have a number of special abilities. Wait for it. Well, the filthy feathered one had it coming. Come on, Banjo, let's get going. Even though I wind up calling you Bear most of the time in the next game.
And yes, that is Uminakas.
My magic is free to change back, so you can come back when you're ready. Termite is a bit small, but it's not bad for my first spell. I need some practice. Hopefully not malpractice, haha.
Alright, now we are a termite. So we are very small. We can run on most steep slopes. We obviously can't climb up the outside, but we can climb up the inside, even if the camera does make jumping a little bit troublesome at times. That's 3D platforming for you, always fighting the camera. I mean, even Ukulele had a lot of trouble with that, and of course it doesn't help that you can wind up getting stuck on the net. Well, you can wind up getting stuck on the netting, which you probably should wind up falling through. And, yeah. See, those holes barely look big enough to support us. It's pretty neat that the termites will... The tickers will actually comment on your accessories. By the way, you found all 100 notes in this world. Well done. You get an extra life each time you do that. So... there we are. The termites are threatening us, but we can easily evade them. They can't chase us up here. And we can scurry outside. And there we go. Another extra life. And the final Jiggy. So, we are also immune to fall damage, which is really handy. Also worth trying if you wind up ever having to flick an insect off your wall. Now, normally that's how you get that empty honeycomb I got as the first item. Termites also can't drown. For some reason. Well, off we go. Nice leisurely cruise through the first level. The camera does mess up a bit. Grunty's magic stops you taking the notes off the world because the programmers couldn't work out how to program all 900 collection flags. The amount you just collected counts as your best note score. Try to get 100 on each world, as they are needed, to open the note doors and you're being ramped by another termite. Rightio, so they want my shorts. And we can scale the mountain and note that we do actually have an enemy to deal with. Gruntilda will actually mention this with one of her rhymes. When you open a world door, baddies escape and roam once more. Each world entry area, well, most of them, will wind up getting... No, I think all of them do wind up getting specific enemies from that world. In this case, it's Ticker the Termite. But we can keep going.
Hey, my magic is getting weak. You need to turn back, or the magic will disappear.
And there's Grunty saying exactly what I was saying with that precise rhyme. Grunty will provide banter at various points through the game, at random.
Well, there we go. Magic's run out. You have to go back to being the bear and the filthy feathered one. Have fun with that.
So, how long have I been going for? It's probably good time to wrap it up. So I've been in here for 5 minutes. Some of it is exposition. Usually you can finish the worlds a bit quicker, but I'm showing off a few things. So of course I'll take a little bit of time so you can get the best experience. Now, Talon trot up this steep slope and we'll wrap the episode up with some dialogue here and an introduction to the note doors. This is a note door sealed by Grunty with one of her powerful musical spells. I think it's got something to do with Led Zeppelin. Open it up then, Jam Jars. That's my brother, and it's not that simple. To open it, you must collect the musical notes from the world.
How many do we need?
Banjo, it says on the door right there. You can actually see it. Honestly, pay attention, Banjo. What sort of moron are you? You need the total of your best note scores from all the worlds to be at least the number written on the door in order to actually break the spell. So go and open that door, because you can do that. And I'll give you some health, because I feel sorry for you, Banjo. So, we do a little dance, and that will wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for joining me. Till next time, this is Red 2, returning to base. And you see what I mean about the molehills? There should be light coming that way, but there's not. Oh well.